Okay, this time you get to see a video of me trying something for the very first time. One of the things I'm going to ask you to do after you've created an applet in GeoGebra is to try to create something similar to that in Desmos, just so you can get used to working in both places and think about which is your preference. And to do that, I'm going to push you into actually doing something a little bit more advanced, which is building an activity builder in Desmos, which is the multiple pages of things that you can have your students do. Um, I've never done this before. I've only ever done the single pages, and they just opened this up, allowing others to build activities themselves recently. So this is a new one for me. So you get to watch me do it for the first time. There are directions down here, which gives you lots of ideas of what to do. It gives you some examples to look at. So I suggest you actually read through this, which I actually haven't done, but I'm telling you to do it because I want yours to be better. So start by building an activity after I've read through those things. This is just going to be test. So whatever it was, you can give your students instructions on this first page, and you've got all sorts of choices of what you'd like to put here. You can have them input, means you ask them a question and they answer it, and then they can see the students' responses or not. It's up to you. If you don't want that, I come over here in this drop-down screen. I can get rid of this, but if I wanted to get rid of this one altogether, that's my drop-down, is to delete. Maybe I want them to graph. There's a lot of different things we could have them do. So looking at just a graph, which is what we were doing before, let's say I want them to explore the linear function again, f of x equals mx plus b. Notice it says add slider. It's assumed m and b are parameters, so I can either choose one of those or just choose both of them. And just like we had on GeoGebra, we now have the sliders right here. The difference here is I cannot take these and move them over onto the screen. You have to keep all of this open. So keep that in mind as you add things over here, that students will see it. So maybe you want them to be able to compare that to the parent function. So there's the parent function. Oops. Yeah, there it is. You could tell students to turn that on and off. They just click that button on and off if they want to see it or not see it. Parameters they can explore, or they can just plus pray, which animates those. And just like we did before, you can click on these right here and change the values for the range there. So maybe I want to go from 15 to 15 is the step of so whatever you wanted those to be. So that's very, very similar. So up here would be your instructions, directions for what to do, and actually type in what you want them to do. So that could be one page. You might then have another screen, and you could do all sorts of things here. You can have them input their thoughts about something, so you can ask a question up here, ask a question, and have them do something with it. If you want to, you can add a graph in here. So you could actually have these two right next to each other. So you could, if I click edit this graph, I haven't done this yet. Let's see what happens if I do y equals mx plus b. If I want parameters on this, done. Does it give me sliders for that? It does not. Oh, but if I click on it, they can click on it and come and see these things. Okay, so it does allow them to see that graph, and you can ask them questions over here. So their question over here might be ask question about what m does to graph of line. Something like that. You can add another screen. The nice thing is you could have students sketch. So maybe after they've tried that, you might actually say sketch a graph of what you expect y equals 5x minus 2 to look like. And then you might add to it a sketch and explain why, etc. So they could do a sketch over here of what they think it'll look like, and they'll answer you over here. They have to explain why. If you want them to see student responses or not, you select that. So you can get a preview of what this looks like by just looking up here. You can see what it looks like for students. So students will have that, then they'll have that. This does not open up like I thought it did. So whatever, this is a stationary graph that they'll have at that point. So after maybe over here, they've got some exploration they're doing as they're trying to figure it out. Then here you might ask what the equation for that graph was, but I think you'd want them to actually make some conjectures about what M and B do before you have them do something like this. You can have them sketch a graph of what you expect it to look like and so forth. So this is not a great example here, but just wanted you to see a bit of what you can do. And again, I just open this up and try it. So with a little bit of time, we can come up with something really good here. The next here would be make my activity public, which you'd have to do if you want to share it with people. You would want an actual name for your project. You would want to, you can put a video here of any kind, or I'm sorry, a picture here of any kind, and then a description of what the project is, and then you would click done, and it would be there for you then to give a link to your students to do. So that is how you could create an activity for Desmos. If you wanted to keep it really simple, to start simply, you could just have them do work in a graph on their own, just giving them a graph to work off of, but this allows you to collect some data as well. So keep that in mind.